Over the years, you've seen us make hamster supplies from a variety of different materials, from paper to cardboard, to walnut shells to wood, and all sorts of things in between. But more recently, I've been really enjoying using paper clay, also known as paper mache clay. We've made plenty of projects big and small from paper clay this year, and I plan on making many more from this material. It's one of the most versatile hamster-safe materials available and functions very similarly to regular clay, so you can use it for shaping all kinds of things, and you're really only limited by your imagination. The method to make it is very easy, it requires only a few ingredients, and they're all cost effective and maybe things you already have in your home. There are two different methods you can use for making paper clay, one of them requiring slightly fewer ingredients than the other, and I'm going to show you how to make both of them. The first method is both the quickest and the one that requires the least ingredients. You'll need a roll of toilet paper, and I recommend using a low quality 2-ply paper because it breaks down a little more easily compared to higher quality paper. You'll need some PVA craft glue. That's the white liquid glue you can buy in any craft store or anywhere selling children's school supplies. You'll also need some plain water. Begin by heaping your tissue into a bowl and soaking it in just enough water so that you can easily break the tissue into small pieces. You don't want to be completely drowning the tissue. Work at it with your hands until you're left with a pulp that looks a little bit like a bowl of popcorn. Add to this a large amount of PVA glue. The exact quantities you use will depend on how smooth you want your clay to be. A 1-to-1 ratio will give you a very smooth paper clay that's easy to mold and easy to shape. Or you can add a little less glue than this for a more textured clay. Mix it very thoroughly until it starts to smooth together into a workable clay. You can store this in an airtight container for a few weeks, and once you've molded it into whatever you want, it can either be air dried or you can dry it in an oven at a very low heat. And keep the door of the oven open while drying to allow excess moisture to escape. PVA is a non-toxic and water-soluble glue. If your hamster does happen to chew on or ingest any paper clay made with PVA glue, it will pass harmlessly through their digestive system. There is one little thing that I'd like to make note of here, and that's that just because it's non-toxic and just because it will not harm your hamster if they ingest it, that doesn't mean you should be encouraging ingestion. So what I'm saying is, if you're making something that you want them to chew on, like a chew toy or a foraging toy, or anything that you're going to be hiding food and snacks in, I do not recommend that you use this method. I would recommend that you use the second method I will show you later. Now obviously, as the owner, the decision that you make on which method to use is entirely up to you. I am just giving you my best advice. The second method for making paper clay requires a few more steps and a few more ingredients, but it might be more budget friendly for you because you might already have these ingredients in your house. It's also the better method to use if you're making a foraging toy or if you're making a toy for a chewer. For this method, you will once again need some cheap toilet paper and some plain water, but instead of using a PVA glue, we're going to be making a flour glue. So you're also going to need flour and salt. And if you're not able to use wheat flour, then corn flour or oat flour are good alternatives. By the way, you can make your own oat flour very cheaply just by throwing a bunch of rolled oats into a food processor, dry blender or coffee grinder. It's much cheaper than the commercial stuff and it's exactly the same. Making flour glue is a great technique to know for a variety of crafting projects, and it's very straightforward. Mix 1 cup of flour with a tablespoon of salt, and then slowly add in 2 cups of water, a little at a time, mixing it well to make sure it doesn't clump. Transfer this liquid into a pan and place it over a low heat. The most important step here is that while the flour glue is over the heat, you must mix it continuously. It's going to thicken up more quickly than you might expect, and if you stop mixing, it might start to clump. As soon as you feel that glue starting to thicken, pull it off the heat and mix for another minute. It'll keep getting thicker as it cools down. Make sure you let it cool to a safe handling temperature before you move on to the next step. From this point on, the two methods are identical. Add a little water to your tissue and break it into a popcorn-like pulp. Then pour the flour glue on top and mix it thoroughly until the clay starts to form. Flour glue has a much shorter shelf life than PVA and it will eventually begin to mold. So make sure you store it in an airtight container, inside a refrigerator, and use it within 3 to 5 days. Again, you can air dry or oven dry this clay, and once it's fully dry, there's no longer a risk of it growing mold. Regardless of which method you use, you can shape the clay into almost anything. Sometimes it will be easier to build around a temporary, removable frame like a balloon or a bowl, or use the clay to add shape and character to a cardboard structure, box or tube. It opens up a lot more opportunities for creating fun toys that may have otherwise been inaccessible or unaffordable. Make sure to leave a like if you found this video helpful, and check out our merch store if you want to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.